We can tell you that Dr. Anderson also said tonight that other mandates in the LEARNS Act and questions about how they'll be funded helped fuel Benton's decision to set their pay scales now. Well, in McGee, Arkansas is a story preserved in time. The United States was catapulted into World War II in December 1941 when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. But for Japanese Americans, it was just the beginning of a battle right here on the home front. Our Ashley Lunningham shares their story.
They had to close their businesses, close up their homes, sell their belongings, beg someone to take care of their belongings, and they had to go to the train station. They were allowed one suitcase, and across the United States, the government was busily building 10 internment camps to hold these people.
2 camps built in the Arkansas Delta.
One was Rohwer, the other was Jerome, which was called Denson Camp. Okay, so these 2 camps were on either side of McGee. And at the time, there were 120,000 Japanese Americans that were removed from their homes, and 17,000 of them came to Arkansas.
Richard Yada and his family were among the 17,000. Born in 1943, he remembers little about the camps, but his parents had a different story. Only given a short amount of notice to leave everything behind.
Some people were given as little as 1 week notice to get rid of everything they had and only bring what you could carry to report to a temporary internment camp.
And his family raced to get everything in order.
He had farm equipment, crops in the field, people that were working for him, and they had to dispose of everything. They'd just bought a car the year before, so they had to get rid of it. And just bring what they could carry.
Inside the camps, Yada says for the kids, it was exciting to be with your friends all of the time. But for his parents, they waited in line 3 times a day for meals when the family dynamic changed drastically.
When they go to the dining hall, or mess hall, the kids would all go to go sit with their friends, and the parents just stuck with each other. So they couldn't get their point across at dinner time like they normally did. So they felt like they were losing control of the family.
He says a questionnaire was given to each person 6 months after the camps were opened, with one question asking if they would fight for the United States military, and another asking if they would forswear allegiance to any foreign power. He says with 2/3 of the camp American citizens and 1/3 not, this caused riots in several camps. When Yada says if you answered no,
you were considered not loyal and a troublemaker, and got shipped off to this Tule Lake, California, which was a prison inside of a prison. It's probably the coldest and most desolate of all the camps.
He says his dad, to prevent the family from getting split up, answered yes to both. When they were released, Yada says most families left the state and went back to California, with only a few, including his family, staying behind. When asking his dad why, he told him it was a good place to raise a family.
Quite different, no hostility at all. People were very kind. They invited, there was about maybe 6 families right outside of Little Rock in Scott, Arkansas, that they invited us to all their church functions, their parties, and welcomed us into the school.
Yada says he believes a big part that helped him growing up in the States is the heroics of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team and the 100th Infantry Battalion, made up of Japanese Americans. He says the unit was at odds until they attended a dance at the camps in Arkansas.
These guys from the mainland, their family are in prison, so we've got to help them show that we're loyal Americans and willing to put our life on the line for our country. He said at that point they became a unit, and it became the most highly decorated unit in the history of the U.S. military.
And now today, a museum displaying countless items telling the story of those that lived in the camps is on display for the world to see for generations to come.
10 years ago, we opened our museum, And our museum is designed to tell the history of the Japanese Americans, to honor the Japanese Americans who lived this, and to just preserve that history. And what's unique is that over the last 10 years, those families have really come forward and given memorabilia to aid the museum and to tell that story.
To tell the story and what happened, and what the people had to go through, what the government went through, and it's important that people know that it can happen, and the rest of us need to know that try to not make it happen again.
That's our Ashley Lunningham reporting tonight. The Japanese Internment Camp Museum in Magee celebrates its 10th anniversary with special guest George Takei of Star Trek fame on May 4th at 1 p.m. The museum is open to the public every Thursday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.